I've been coming to ScreamFest forever, and who was here for American Mary a bunch of years ago? Yeah? He came back, so that's great. We would like to welcome back the directors of that film, ladies and gentlemen, Jen and Sylvia. Come on down.
Hi guys, thanks for having us. Not bad for a Tuesday night. Not bad. Thank you so much to ScreamFest for having us. I will say, while we are not traditionally fans of remakes, I think a lot of them are very manipulative to the fans. Some people say fuck remakes, but I promise you we made love to ours. There's a lot of pressure. We're one of our greatest Canadian heroes, all of our peers and everyone else, the horror community, wondering why we would do this. They were going to make this film one way or another, and I was very concerned if somebody who didn't love David or understand his work handled this. So we really made this for an audience of one, Mr. David Cronenberg. But if you like him even remotely as much as we do, you're really in for something special. Totally, please enjoy.
What's up everybody, Trinity here and welcome back to the Second Street Marvel. Today's video is going to be something a little bit out of the norm here for the channel. Recently I got to go down to the Chinese theater in Hollywood and watch the North American premiere of the Soska Sisters Rabid. Now this is a remake of a 1977 David Cronenberg classic. This is the original film that was done by David Cronenberg, a very great film. And so afterward, they came out and they introduced the movie, and afterward they brought some of the cast and crew out and had just like a little Q&A session, having a great time, talking about all the fun that they had making the film. And I did get a chance to meet the Soska sisters as well as some of the other cast as well. It was a great time. I got some of my comic books signed, and anyway, it was really fun. Now this movie, this remake, is actually getting ready to release on video on demand here on December 13th. So as of the recording of this video, that's about a week from now, at the very end of the week. So I think it's one that you guys will enjoy if you guys like horror films or are into body horror films, more or less, I guess. This is something I think you guys should definitely check out, as well as you should probably check out their other movies as well. Their first one was Dead Hooker in a Trunk, and one of their more recent titles was American Mary. These ones both written and directed by Jen and Sylvia Soska. Very good films. I'd suggest you watch them, but like I said, this one's getting ready to release on December 13th on video on demand, and I believe they said the Blu-ray will be ready on February 4th. But I'll go ahead and I'll leave a link down in the comments section on this video where you can go and pre-order your copy of Rabid. So I'm not going to keep you any longer. You guys go ahead and enjoy this Q&A. I apologize about the audio. I don't have like professional audio recording equipment or anything, but I think regardless you'll be able to hear and hear everything that's going on here. You guys have a good day and enjoy the rest of this video.
Remember who he played in the film? There's this bastard Todd Masters who got us kicked off of Twitter because of his effects. Claude Foisey, who did all of the composition and music, and then we have Kevin and Laura Vandervoort, who I'm sure you guys noticed what she did in the film. Kyle, are you here? Kyle? Kyle, way up there, is one of our effects artists. Do you want to come down, Kyle? I didn't know if you made it. Yeah, he came all the way from Toronto. Yeah, Kyle, you're fantastic. Do you have a plaque in the Toronto shop that says you made us lose a month of promotion because we got kicked off of Twitter? It's a good idea, Todd.
Wish I could get kicked off Twitter. Before, when you guys were doing your intro, you said, like, if we don't do this, somebody else will, kind of thing. What was what clicked for you? What was the thing that made you decide, like, oh, no, we got this. We know how to do this now?
They offered us the job.
No, story-wise. Like, what was your, like, oh, I see how we can do this now, like...
Well, it was really interesting because there was a script before Jennifer and I were involved with the project. And the people who made this movie had never made a horror movie before.
They made religious movies, and then they made a religious horror movie that made a ton of bank. Then they bought a Rabid thinking it was about rabid dogs. Then they sent it to David Cronenberg and asked him to be a producer. And then he explained they missed the mark, so they Googled Cronenberg and our names popped up, which is what they told us in our interview.
I think that Rabid, even by Mr. Cronenberg's own admission, he said it was like his film school. There are a few Cronenberg films that are really sacred, like The Fly, Videodrome, Dead Ringers. Grown now, because we're after Dead Ringers currently. And I felt there was a little bit more we could add. In the original, I mean, Rose didn't have a last name. She didn't have a career. We really wanted Laura to go through like the Spider-Man treatment of, you know what it's like to become a biological vampire that causes a version of rabies every time you feed.
One thing I really liked is that you actually do spend time with Rose a bit before the acts. I mean, if I remember correctly, she pretty much acts in the first scene, pretty much in the original. Talk about developing that and like, all right, like how much can we go before we get to the accident? Like, when will the audience start to get?
Well, the Canadian government actually asked her to suffer more. Telefilm put it in, and they said, "This is so interesting. Can she suffer more?" And we're like, yeah, I guess so, yeah, sure. And a lot of the script and the notes came from Laura. She made it really very much her own.
I'm just going to hand it over to Laura so she can talk about that now.
No? No, I don't even know what part to talk about. Which part?
Talk about your facial appliance. Let's start with that.
That was an interesting process for me, not just the application, but I wasn't able to speak or emote for a good portion of the film. So that was a different sort of talent for me to figure out, and just the breathing and all of that. But I actually enjoyed it because a lot of your emoting is through the eyes, so the opportunity there was to just focus on that and what I was feeling internally. Yeah. And I also didn't have to talk to anybody when I rapped, which was great, because I'm horrible at goodbyes. So the last day I had that on me, and everyone was saying goodbye, and I'm like, sorry. I couldn't deal with it. I hate saying goodbye.
Shockingly, I know nothing about fashion. Were those real designs in the film? Did you guys design those? Laura, did you take apart and help create those?
Yeah, Laura sewed all of them.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, she's nothing. Actually, we approached Roger Gingrich, who works with Toronto Fashion Week. We had a lot of challenges in production, as everyone does. And we really wanted to showcase Canadian talent, so he brought on Canadian designers. All of the clothes, the shoes, everything in the film is by Canadian designers. Our costume designer was Morgan Shree Newson, who was also the costume designer of a little film called In the Mouth of Madness. Yeah, she was badass. The nightmare dress was an original couture thing. We had a champagne taste and a beer budget. We wanted to emulate the great Alexander McQueen. And we wanted to go brick shopping, but they suggested I shouldn't do that. Brick shopping, when you break windows.
When you Catwoman stuff for your movie.
Speaking of the broken window, how did CM Punk end up in this? What was that?
Well, Phil was actually the first actor involved in this. Do we have any wrestling fans in here? Yes! Yes! Okay, Daniel Bryan's smiling somewhere. He's like, I feel there's a yes chant. We're huge wrestling fans. So one day my Twitter went insane. It was because CM Punk was doing a double feature of Dead Hooker in a Trunk and Jason Eiser's Hobo with a Shotgun. And then we ended up working for the company. He's like, how come it's not with me? And then we did it again. And he was like, what? And then we got Rabid, and I knew he liked Cronenberg and, you know, zombies, and I thought Rabid people were close enough. And I was like, will you be in this movie? And he's like, yeah. And he was actually supposed to be Brad, but they're like, you have to put a Canadian guy in there. I was like, okay. And I was like, will you play a disgusting, horrible person? He's like, I hate this guy. I was like, will you do it? He's like, yeah.
I noticed in the credits, your characters are Bev and Ellie, which I did not pick up on during the. Were there other Cronenberg references you guys threw in that we may have missed that you can divulge for us?
Sure. The feeding tube thing is our homage to Brundlefly. There's a little film, Dead Ringers. That was the most obvious one. Now I can tell you my favorite one is the Brood. Cynthia is the mother to all the zombies. So you can hear a beautiful blend of sound created by Paula Fairfield, who did this series called Game of Thrones. She won a couple like gold statues for that thing. But she uses 100% organic sounds. So it was Trismeton's cries of agony, it was our cries of agony, it was Paula's cries of agony, and she brought on, and Danielle, another one of our sound designers, and she brought on what she called a specialty screamer. So anytime you hear from the piece of Cynthia, that's fucking disgusting, he just sliced off a piece of his wife and threw it on her face and said, "Science!" So yeah, you hear that through everything. The car accident was kind of crash. Oh, the naked fight was our homage to Serbian, History, that's not a Serbian film, Eastern Promises. Irreversible was when we smashed in the face and the Mouth of Madness was going through the thing. And it was Spider-Man 2. The whole film was Spider-Man 2. Tobey Maguire, Jeff Goldblum.
Three roles? Did I do that correctly?
Yes.
Where were they? Tell us where they were.
Well, one was obvious, if you weren't, like, in the bathroom at the time. So Nurse Dana, and I was one of the 3 nightmare nurses in the really surreal nightmare sequence, and then I was Cynthia.
Did you come in and say, I want to play 3 roles? Or did you...
They said they had a bag of candy, and that if I went over to their house and read a script, that I could have a bag of candy, and I like candy, so I read the script. No, they were like, no, we need someone who's fucking weird who's fine with doing this. And I was like, ooh, me, pick me.
What was the, what did you actually have to consume for all that red gum shit?
That was basically corn syrup dyed with like a red, I guess, food dye. But our stunt coordinator, our food props master, wasn't prepared for the first time I'd be drinking it. So he really only had like corn syrup, and it was thick and sweet, and my teeth were burning. Like, you know that sweet hit you get to your cankers or whatever it is? I had that every scene, and then we finally figured it out, and we watered it down, and it was fine. But when I'm disgusted by it, like there was a scene in the kitchen where I do the injection, and then I go and throw up in the sink. That wasn't planned. The camera just followed me. And I couldn't throw up because there was a mask. I had nowhere to throw up besides inside of myself. So, because it was a layer on top of a layer, so if I threw up, it would just sit there. So that was fun. But I love blood. A lot of my projects, I end up drinking blood. Or whatever, or I'm covered in it. So, yeah. That's me.
Right there.
So, I love the William S. Burroughs Clinic.
Thank you.
I thought that was pretty cool. So the art that was inside the clinic, those crazy paintings and crazy photos.
Yes.
Where did those come from?
They were inspired by Witkin and Bacon because the Burroughs character, I mean, Burroughs isn't even his real name. He's listening to a clip of Burroughs talking about vampirism, if you really... He's so full of shit. He's telling her, nightmares, hallucinations, whatever. I'm gaslighting you. Doesn't matter. But you didn't get to know his personality, so we made sure the art around kind of told you that you're in really big trouble. There is, in our production design team, there was an artist called Aurora Kirk, who did all of those with a production designer, Peter Mahalchuk. And I loved Aurora's work so much, I named a character the premier after her, because I was like, this is so pretty. The portrait in the back of the clinic where he's examining Rose is a portrait of Cynthia. It was a portrait he did once after she started to no longer look human. We did what we called bacon face, where he just said it's no longer that because Dr. Burroughs has become faithful to his wife. He thinks, oh, you guys are all till death do you part. My wife isn't even human anymore, and I'm all about her. Too weird an answer, Jen. They don't want to talk to us anymore.
Right in the middle there, yeah.
So during the nightmare scene with the nurses, was that at all inspired by Silent Hill?
Very much so, but very much Magritte as well. I went to a surrealist exhibit when I hadn't slept, and I saw Rene Magritte for the first time, and I thought, wow, that's really cool when you're just
feeling in a surreal area, and it was all about her identity. Now she didn't know what her face was anymore, and I was like, that's really cool. Yeah. Thanks, Jen. Always got your back.
We haven't heard from our FX guys. We have some of our FX team here. Talk about,
The elusive Tug Masters.
Thank you. I actually did I do anything on this movie? It's actually my company that did it. It was a Toronto department led by Zane Nisley and team. And then, hey, where'd you sneak in? There you go. I will secretly pass this down here. Tell us everything you did.
Kyle was in the trenches.
He's responsible for everything.
Absolutely not at all. Yeah, one of the teammates of our big Toronto crew, Masters, and we did all the practical effects for the show. Yeah.
tentacles.
Yeah.
He does have a name. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I named the tentacle Pierre. No, it's okay. But I did want to quickly say the rest of the cast sends their love. They wish they could be here. So thank you so much for coming to support the film, you guys. It means a lot. Our composer and her musicians on, I'd hate for them not to say anything because I'm such a big Pontypool fan. It was like such a trip to get you to be on this film.
Is there a question?
What was it like being the first people to remake a Cronenberg and remake a bunch of classic songs while we were crazily asking for crazy?
It was dreadful. It was such a difficult process working with the two of you.
I get that a lot.
It was an absolute joy. I was a little nervous because as I was sending music to, hi, what about this, what about that? They go, oh yeah, I like that, I love that. I go, wait, that doesn't make sense because I never get that. I always get, well, pages of notes, and I'm thinking, it can't be that good. There's kind of, and then when I did a version of Lashio Pianga, I'm just trying the pronunciation of it, but you didn't like that. And I said, okay, great. Now I know what to do. So I did a different version of that, and that was, you liked that. So so it was a really nice process, I have to say. Very unusual because, as I say, it's, as I said, when you, the hardest part for a composer is when you have your directors listen for the first time to the music, because they're typically, they will be used to having a temp score, which is something that they like to edit to cut to, and a lot of people get married to that temp score, even if it's from another film or whatever. So when you present something different, it's hard for directors to embrace it, and you guys did from day one. So thank you very much. It was a total pleasure working with you. Hope we do it again.
Before you were composing?
Well, I had seen the original film, being from Montreal myself, and that's where the original was shot, right? Yeah. So, but that was 77?
41 years ago.
So did you know anything about the visuals for this?
You mean before writing the score? Yeah, because when you write a score, the film needs to be finished and edited and cut, so it has to be a final product. You don't get the final effects and voiceovers and some of the things you don't get as far as sound effects and that kind of thing. So you don't really know. You talk to the post-production house and you get a sense of what they're trying to do, but there would be too much back and forth. So you don't. It's sort of an educated guess what they're going to do. And they did tell me about the gurgling sounds. And you have to be aware of where those are going to come in and stay out of the way of that. And, so as a composer, your job is not to be front and center. Your job is to support what's going on. So hopefully I did that. But
We really wanted to show off and do as much Cronenberg as Cronenberg, so that was our nod to Naked Lunch, because we picked our favorite author, and we've picked our favorite gay author, and we really wanted to do Invisible Monsters, but Ryan Murphy has taken the rights, so now it'll look like he's ripping us off. Suck it, Mr. Murphy. No, he's nice. I hear he's a sweet man. I hear he's a very sweet man. Hopefully with a good sense of humor.
I don't think anybody would be phased by Ryan Murphy. Fashion thing was the original script. Is the fashion element something you guys edited, or was that in the original script?
It was always going to be in a fashion world. Yeah. It was Gunther before, but we thought...
Gunther was the best.
Oh, Mackenzie Gray, guys, right? It would have been way too depressing to watch without him. Way too depressing.
I love it when he cuts that critic apart. I just, for anyone who's an artist, it's just so satisfying. It's like a fuck you moment. And he's fantastic. And also, if it was another actor, it could have very easily been a caricature, but Mackenzie played it very realistically. We're Hungarian, and we're used to a lot of Eastern European love, and that's love. It's authentic. It's not always gentle, but it's real.
Good time for a couple more. Yeah, but then...
If I remember well, the original, the poem starts with the screen grab from the rose itself. Here we see at the end some worms, parasite kind of things. And I was wondering if that came from the wife, or that was something the doctor was working before and then started working with the wife. And if we could see more of that creature.
Yeah, he definitely cut off a piece of his wife. As a matter of fact, at one point, there's a TV show component for this. So the Burroughs Clinic, we thought a lot about the different transhuman experiments that go on there, because I don't know if you guys have been listening to the news, but they've been hybriding humans with animals right now. And then in China, they don't even have to report what kind of stuff they've been doing. So, and also, if you look really close into the Jeffrey Epstein case, they're trying to become immortalists just like Dr. Burroughs. Haha. It's a crazy world, guys. It's fucked. You should clap. It's the only option we have right now. Kevy, you're always working with us. What'd you think of this? Huh?
Thank you. I don't even know. It's so crazy because one thing I noticed is like, I never spoke to this wonderful composer here, but our music sounded together like similar. It was so strange with the sounds we used and stuff. And I don't even know how many collaborations I've done with Jen and Sylvia now. I think it's like, we've done the blood drive every year. I did Dead Hooker in a Trunk. American Mary, Vendetta, See No Evil 2. What am I missing? ABCs of Death 2. I don't even know what else, but I'm just so proud to like.
And a ton of rejected songs.
Oh yeah.
You should put on an album.
I know. We actually started talking about the music for this like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So the first thing I wrote was Hunger, which is the song at the end credits. So I knew I wanted to write a song called Hunger after I read the script. So yeah. And you haven't said anything yet.
He wants me to ask him a question. So now I have to think of one. First of all, you're incredible. Can we give him an applause for that? How many takes did you have to do of the actual up and down in the alleyway? Because that looks painful, but you don't feel any pain. Is that right?
Hopefully not.
It doesn't hurt, but if it looks like it did, then I did my job right. Thank you. I don't know what to say. I'm not good at this. Well, yeah, it was my first time looking like myself in a movie. I remember he gave me my costume. He said, "Okay, off you go." And I said, "Oh no, you can see me. I'm not wearing a crazy mask. I don't look like a zombie or anything." It was nerve-wracking, but it was great. I'm so happy that you brought me on. And thank you. I was called the Smoking Man because originally I was supposed to be smoking a cigarette, but I don't smoke, and you can always tell a non-smoker. So thank you for cutting that out. I'm so sorry.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, that's what I...
Ladies and gentlemen, Christy Schroeder.
So that's what happens when you get rabies.
All due respect to you guys, but none of you would top that. So can we just find out what's next for the movie? When's it coming out? Are we doing more festivals?
Shout Factory is releasing it in the United States, and it's going to come out December 13th, theatrical VOD and home video. We're against another remake that I won't mention the name of. Please pack the theaters. Tell them they have tentacles, or don't. I don't know what your friends are into.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for bringing the movie here. Thank you all. Really appreciate it all coming out. We want to applaud to these guys. Thank you guys so much. Come back tomorrow. ScreamFest continues 2 more nights. Thank you.